Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the topic immunity. So before we enter into the exact topic, we will see for the certain definitions which is required further. So what is immune system? Immune system is a body's defense system. Means if the infectious agents or the pathogens enter into our body, how our body is going to react to that particular pathogen is called as immune system. The response given by the body is called as immune system. So what is immunity? Immunity, it is a protection from the infectious disease having the specific or non-specific immune system. So we will see later what is exactly the specific and non-specific immune system. So immunology is a study of overall structure and function, how our body is going to respond, how our pathogen is going to enter into our body, all that the immune response to that pathogen from our body, all this we study under the immunology. Okay. So, types of immunity, there are two types of immunity, namely innate immunity as well as passive immunity. We will see what is innate immunity. Innate immunity, it is a natural immunity acquired by the birth. Okay, so by our birth itself, this kind of immunity, the kind of immunity present in our body is called as innate immunity. So they are very much specific as they respond to particular pathogen itself. So no development of memory cells, they won't develop any kind of a memory cell, so that once again if the same foreign particle enter into our body, they are not able to recognize. So it is acquired by birth. As I said, always it is present in our body from the time of the birth till to death. So it is present in our body. They doesn't cause any allergic reactions like rashes, swelling, redness, etc. around the around the infected area. So different barriers are seen, so they are less potent means they have less potential compared to the other immunity to fight again, to act as a defense system. So different barrier we can see here, the different kinds of the barrier are mentioned: physical barrier, physiological barrier, cellular barrier, cytokinin barrier, inflammatory barrier, and the phagocytic barrier. So what are these barrier? Why it is required to our body means it prevent the entry of the pathogen into our body. So this is the main function of the barriers. So first one is a physical barrier. It prevents the entry of the pathogen into our body. So it's the first line of the defense. So we can see the physical barrier, which is the skin, digestive tract, respiratory tract, and the urinogenital tract. Next is a physiological barrier. They secrete certain enzymes like saliva, we can say. So they are the physiological barrier. So they prevent the entry of the pathogen into our body by some of the physiological secretions. So it might be tears, it might be sweat, saliva, or the gastric secretion in our stomach. Coming to the next one, cellular barriers. Cellular barriers, where the cell is going to destroy the pathogen by killing it. So we can see the cell, that is WBC, that is a white blood cell. So leukocytes and monocytes, namely leukocytes and monocytes will be present, which helps as the cellular barrier. So next is a cytokinin barrier. Cytokinin barrier, they are the they secrete the interferons. Okay, so they secrete the interferons are nothing but a group of protein which are produced by the virus infected cell. So these act as a barrier. So next is a phagocytic barrier. So phagocytic barrier, what happens is, if the foreign particles enter into our body, that will we will say as an extracellular particle other than the body's cell, the extracellular particulate. So the particle that is invaginated by the process of phagocytosis. So next is the inflammatory barrier. Inflammatory barrier, where the vasodilation takes place. Vasodilation means, simply we can say, if the foreign particle enter through our skin, we can say. So when it enters into our blood cell, the diameter of the blood cell increases, which leads to the redness of the tissues, and we can feel there is a rise in the temperature in that particular area, which leads to the increase in the permeability of the tissues. So this permeability. It causes the influx of the fluid that leads to accumulation of the fluid and the swelling. So swelling happens because of the accumulation of the dead cells. So that process we call that final thing we call it as pus. So this process is called as vasodilation. So next is the acquired immunity. Acquired immunity is the adaptive immunity where the body acquires or adapts due to some external environment, etc. The body is going to adapt this kind of immunity. So this is called as acquired immunity. So this kind of immunity is acquired throughout the life. Okay, so acquired immunity is acquired throughout the life. It is non-specific immune response. As we discussed earlier, innate immunity is very much specific, means it is specific to only certain foreign particles. But in case of this acquired immunity, what happens, it is not specific for certain pathogens. Okay, so it does not, so it develops the memory cells, it develops the memory cells. Allergic reaction may be seen, that is the red, it might be the redness, swelling around the area of the infection. Allergic reaction may be seen. So highly potent, they have highly potential to fight against the pathogen. They are generated in response to the external environment. So the classification of acquired immunity, we can see two types, that is active immunity as well as passive immunity. So what is active immunity? Active immunity is a person's own cell, means the in the body itself it produces the antibody in response to the infections. Okay, that we call it as active immunity. As it takes time to develop the antibody inside the person's body, so it takes a large amount of time, but it's a slow process also. It may take hours, days, weeks, or it may take years also at certain condition. So it's a, but once it is produced, it's a long lasting, means once again, as it has a memory, if the same foreign particle enters once again, they will recognize easily, and they are harmless also. Okay. Passive immunity, it's a condition where ready-made antibodies are injected directly into the patient's body. Means we know what the particular infection causing agent, so for that particular specific infection causing agent we are going to make the antibodies and inject to the patient's body. So it's not long lasting, it may create problems in certain conditions, and also it produces only intermediate relief but not a permanent one. So passive immunity, they can be acquired by two types, that is natural passive immunity and the artificial passive immunity. So natural passive immunity, we can see that the IgG antibody, as we know that there are 5 types of the antibody. So in that 5 types, the IgG is responsible to transfer through the placenta. So the immunity is provided to the child by the mother through the placenta, where this IgG antibody travels through the placenta and enters into the child. Next is the artificial passive immunity by administration of hyper antibody by hyperimmune sera of man and animals. For particular foreign particle, we are going to administrate the particular type of antibody. So quickly see the difference between the innate and the acquired immunity. Innate immunity is a natural type of immunity which is by the birth, and acquired immunity, it is a acquired immunity throughout the life, it is acquired. Innate immunity, it produces the specific immune response, whereas the acquired immunity, it produces the non-specific immune response. So innate immunity always present in our body, but the acquired immunity, it is generated or it is generated in response to the external environment at certain time only. Innate immunity, it is a rapid response, it gives the rapid result and rapid response, and acquired immunity, it is a delayed response, it may take hours to days. So innate immunity does not develop any memory cells, whereas acquired immunity develops the memory cell. Innate immunity is a less potent to fight against the foreign particles, whereas the acquired immunity have high potential to defense against the foreign particle. And innate immunity is no allergic response is caused, but as I said, redness or swelling etc is not seen in case of innate immunity, whereas in acquired immunity it may causes allergic reactions like redness, swelling around the infected area. So if you find this video informative, do hit a like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.